I'm a crack baby. Outside the city, I rob you. My mom's like, I rob you obviously outside the city. Fuck off, not your business.
From the thundering looms of the Industrial Revolution to the pulsating energy of its nightclubs, Manchester has always vibrated with a distinctive rhythm. This is a city forged in industry, its character tempered by hard work and a fierce independent spirit. And it is from these roots that Manchester's unique musical heritage has sprung, blossoming into a dazzling array of sounds that have reverberated across the globe. Join me now as we venture into the heart of Manchester, exploring the stories behind the music that has shaped generations and continues to inspire. Our journey begins in the heart of Moss Side, where the echoes of traditional Caribbean music would mingle with the burgeoning sounds of electronic experimentation. Here, amidst the social and economic turbulence of the 1980s, a young Gerald Simpson began to forge a new sonic path. Inspired by the raw energy of Chicago house, Simpson, known to the world as a guy called Gerald, crafted a sound both hypnotic and frenetic. His groundbreaking track, Voodoo Ray, with its infectious acid bass line and driving rhythms, became an anthem of the burgeoning acid house scene. Like a bolt of sonic lightning, Voodoo Ray crackled across the airwaves, igniting warehouse parties and underground raves. A guy called Gerald's pioneering spirit, his willingness to push the boundaries of electronic music, would forever alter the landscape of dance music, establishing Manchester as a crucible of sonic innovation. While the pulsating rhythms of electronic music reverberated through Manchester's underground, a different kind of songwriter was emerging from the city's streets. Damon Gough, who would soon become known to the world as Badly Drawn Boy, possessed a unique ability to spin tales of everyday life, transforming the mundane into the magical. Armed with an acoustic guitar, a battered felt-tip pen, and a seemingly endless supply of homemade CDs, Gough began his musical journey busking on the streets of Manchester. His music, a captivating blend of folk intimacy and indie rock sensibilities, resonated with a generation yearning for authenticity. With his debut album, The Hour of Bewilderbeast, Badly Drawn Boy captured the hearts of critics and fans alike, his soulful melodies and introspective lyrics painting vivid portraits of urban life. As the 1990s roared to life, a new sonic revolution was brewing in the clubs and warehouses of Manchester. Two friends, Tom Rowlands and Ed Simons, united by a shared love of hip-hop, techno, and psychedelic rock, were about to unleash a sonic monster upon the world. Calling themselves the Chemical Brothers, they began to experiment with sampling, creating a Frankenstein's monster of sound that was both exhilarating and groundbreaking. Their early gigs, held in the dimly lit basements of Manchester's club scene, became legendary, their music a potent cocktail of breakneck beats, swirling synths, and infectious grooves. The Chemical Brothers' sound, dubbed Big Beat, was a monstrous hybrid, too big for the confines of any single genre. It was a sound that demanded to be played loud, to be felt as much as heard, and it quickly spread beyond the underground, propelling the Chemical Brothers to global stardom. Chapter 4. Joy Division from Darkness, a Haunting Beauty. Manchester's industrial landscape, its crumbling factories and rain-slicked streets would become the backdrop for one of the most influential bands of all time. Emerging from the ashes of punk rock, Joy Division, led by the enigmatic Ian Curtis, tapped into a vein of raw emotion, their music a stark reflection of the social and economic anxieties of the late 1970s. Curtis's baritone vocals, infused with both vulnerability and a chilling intensity, resonated with a generation grappling with uncertainty. Joy Division's sound, a tapestry of stark guitars, hypnotic bass lines and driving rhythms, was as bleak as it was beautiful. Their music, like the city that birthed them, possessed a haunting atmospheric quality, drawing listeners into a world of shadows and introspection. Though their time as a band was tragically cut short, Joy Division's legacy continues to loom large, their influence felt across generations of musicians. Chapter 5, Oasis. Britpop's swaggering champions. From the council estates of Burnage emerged a band that would come to define a generation. Oasis, led by the Gallagher brothers Liam and Noel, possessed a swagger and an anthemic sound that would capture the spirit of the 1990s. Their music, a potent blend of classic British rock influences, was infused with a youthful energy and a defiant sense of optimism. Songs like Live Forever and Don't Look Back in Anger became anthems for a generation hungry for hope and escapism. Oasis's rise to fame was nothing short of meteoric, their gigs becoming legendary for their raw energy and unpredictable nature. They were the kings of Britpop, their music a soundtrack to a decade of change and possibility. Chapter 6. The Smiths, a soundtrack to unrequited love. In the heart of Manchester, amidst the post-industrial decay, a different kind of poetry was being crafted. The Smiths, led by the enigmatic Morrissey and the guitar wizardry of Johnny Marr, gave voice to the longings and anxieties of a generation. Morrissey's lyrics, by turns witty, sardonic, and deeply moving, explored themes of love, loss, and the search for identity. Marr's music, a shimmering tapestry of jangly guitars and melodic hooks, perfectly complemented Morrissey's introspective musings. The Smiths' sound, a blend of pop sensibility and introspective lyricism, resonated with a generation grappling with the complexities of life, love, and everything in between. Their music became a soundtrack to unrequited love, teenage angst, and the bittersweet beauty of everyday life. Chapter 7. Take That, Masters of Pop Alchemy. In the early 1990s, as grunge dominated the airwaves, a group of 5 lads from Manchester dared to be different. Take That, with their slick dance moves, catchy hooks, and undeniable charisma, took the pop world by storm. Their music, a blend of pop, soul, and dance influences, was expertly crafted to get people moving. Songs like Pray and Back for Good became inescapable earworms, their videos dominating MTV and inspiring countless bedroom dance routines. Take That's success lay in their ability to connect with audiences of all ages, their music transcending generational boundaries. They were the ultimate pop band, their music a testament to the power of pure, unadulterated joy. From the industrial backwaters of Wigan, just outside Manchester, emerged a band that dared to dream big. The Verve, led by the enigmatic Richard Ashcroft, possessed a sound that was both epic and intimate. Ashcroft's soaring vocals, often compared to those of the Rolling Stones' Mick Jagger, conveyed a yearning for something more, a desire to break free from the constraints of everyday life. Their music, a blend of psychedelic rock, bluesy swagger, and orchestral grandeur, was characterized by its sweeping arrangements and emotionally charged performances. The Verve's defining moment came with the release of Bittersweet Symphony, a song that perfectly captured the bittersweet longing at the heart of their music. The song, with its iconic orchestral hook and Ashcroft's impassioned vocals, became an anthem for a generation. In the heart of Manchester's northern quarter, amidst the independent record stores and bohemian cafes, a band was quietly crafting a sound that was both intimate and expansive. Elbow, led by the soulful vocals of Guy Garvey, possessed a knack for capturing the nuances of human emotion, their music a soundtrack to the highs and lows of everyday life. Garvey's lyrics, often described as poetic, explored themes of love, loss, hope and despair with a rare honesty and vulnerability. Elbow's music, a blend of art rock, indie folk and experimental leanings, was characterized by its intricate arrangements, soaring melodies and Garvey's distinctive emotive vocals. They were a band that grew slowly, organically, their music gradually seeping into the consciousness of listeners, earning them a devoted following, drawn to their honesty and emotional depth. As the 1980s drew to a close, a new energy was coursing through the streets of Manchester. Fueled by the sounds of house music and a burgeoning rave scene, a cultural phenomenon known as Manchester was about to explode. At the forefront of this movement were the Happy Mondays, a band that embodied the hedonistic spirit of the times. Led by the charismatic Shaun Ryder, whose drawling vocals and unpredictable stage presence became legendary, the Happy Mondays were a chaotic force of nature. Their music, a unique blend of rock and roll swagger, psychedelic grooves and house music influences, was impossible to categorize and utterly irresistible. The Happy Mondays were the Pied Pipers of Manchester, their music leading a generation on a merry chase through the city's nightclubs and warehouse parties. As our journey through Manchester's musical landscape draws to a close, we are left with a profound sense of the city's enduring legacy. From the pioneering sounds of acid house to the anthemic roar of Britpop, from the introspective musings of indie heroes to the joyous explosion of Manchester, Manchester's musical tapestry is as rich and diverse as the city itself. The spirit of innovation, the willingness to push boundaries and challenge conventions continues to pulse through the city's veins, ensuring that Manchester's musical heartbeat will continue to resonate for generations to come. Join us again as we venture to new sonic landscapes, exploring the stories behind the music that shapes our world.
Manchester Blitz. The Manchester Blitz, also known as the Christmas Blitz, was the heavy bombing of the city of Manchester and its surrounding areas in northwest England during the Second World War by the German Luftwaffe. It was one of three major raids on Manchester, an important inland port and industrial city. Trafford Park in neighbouring Stretford was a major centre of war production. Air raids began in August 1940. And in September 1940 the Palace Theatre on Oxford Street was hit. The heaviest raids occurred on the nights of 22, 23 and 23/December 24, 1940, killing an estimated 684 people and injuring more than 2,000. 1. Manchester Cathedral, the Royal Exchange, the Free Trade Hall and the Manchester Assize Courts were among the large buildings damaged. On the night of 22-23 of December 272 tons of high explosive were dropped, and another 195 tons the following night. Almost 2,000 incendiaries were also dropped on the city over the 2 nights. 1. The aircraft spread fanwise over the city and adopted the by then familiar tactic of dropping flares followed by incendiaries and high explosives, with later waves targeting the fires caused by the earlier attacks. There were other less intensive bombing raids across Britain too, and 2 German aircraft were reported to have been lost over the British Isles on 24 December. One crashed in the sea near Blackpool and the other, loaded with incendiaries and flares, crashed in flames near Etchingham, Sussex, with no survivors. Salford and Stretford. Neighbouring Salford, Stretford and other districts were also badly damaged by the bombing. It is estimated that more than 215 people were killed and 910 injured in Salford, and more than 8,000 homes were damaged or destroyed. 73 were killed in Stratford, and many more were injured. 4. In June 1941 German bombs damaged the original Salford Royal Hospital on Chapel Street at the junction with Adelphi Street, killing 14 nurses. Further raids. On March 11, 1941 Old Trafford Football Stadium, the home of Manchester United FC, was hit by a bomb aimed at the industrial complex of Trafford Park, wrecking the pitch and demolishing the stands. The stadium was rebuilt after the war and reopened in 1949, until which time United played at Manchester City's Main Road Stadium. In June 1941 German bombs damaged the police headquarters. Manchester continued to be bombed by the Luftwaffe throughout the war, and became the target of airborne V-1 flying bombs. On Christmas Eve 1944, Heinkel He-111 bombers flying over the Yorkshire coast launched 45 flying bombs at Manchester. No V-1s landed in Manchester itself, but 27 people in neighbouring Oldham were killed by a stray bomb. Another 17 people were killed elsewhere and 109 wounded overall. RAF de Havilland Mosquitoes shot down one German bomber over the North Sea and severely damaged another, causing it to crash land in Germany. Victory Over Blindness is a bronze sculpture in Manchester, England, by Johanna Domguyat. It is on Piccadilly Approach outside the main entrance of Manchester Piccadilly Station and was commissioned to commemorate the centenary of the First World War. The anniversary of the First World War has seen many new memorials, some intended to serve as a mechanism to celebrate forgotten dimensions of the conflict, others to restore to memory those whose memorials have been lost in the intervening decades. The sense of both rehabilitating memories and restoring memorials has been key to the anniversary celebrations in their many diverse forms. In my travels, the most prominent new railway memorial I've witnessed is in Manchester. Replacing of a bronze plaque removed during 1960s refurbishment of Manchester Piccadilly, May 2016 saw a new war memorial prominently located on the concourse between platforms 10 and 11. It records the names of 87 men of the LNWR who died serving on the British Armed Forces between 1914 and 1919, from a total of 580 staff from the station who served. It was opened with a wreath-laying ceremony attended by relatives of those listed as well as Michael Portillo. And as with so many of these memorials, it has been the result of an initiative involving sustained campaigning and research by railway workers themselves, in this case 2 Virgin Trains train managers. The memorial is composed of grey marble and comprises a flat-topped pillar with a 3-stepped base. The front of the memorial looks down the platform towards the main concourse. Either side of the LNWR insignia are the years 1914 and 1919. Below it reads, "To the memory of the Manchester employees of the London and North Western Railway Company, who sacrificed their lives in the service of their country during the Great War, and as a grateful tribute to all those who served." This is followed by the following smaller text. Those named here were originally commemorated on the Long Road Goods Department Memorial. Finally, on the first step it reads, "We will remember them." On the other 3 sides, the names of the fallen are listed alphabetically, each below an etched wreath with the years denoted on either side. Manchester Century, the defining MCR World War I Memorial. Here's only one place I go in central Manchester to brood on World War I. I go to the tired and faded Britannia Hotel and look a determined Tommy in the eye. In the lofty foyer of this former textile warehouse is Charles Jagger's unforgettable Manchester Century. None of the other city war memorials have work that approaches Jagger's in its power, feeling and accomplishment. Our warrior is defiant and watchful but weary too, exuding from all his metallic pores and all the metallic folds and lines of his great coat, the pity of war, as poet Wilfred Owen, an officer in the Manchester Regiment described it. There is no better work in the city to individualize the conflict and put a face to the ghastly statistics of death as the European powers threw their men onto the guns and the wire. British and Commonwealth forces lost just shy of 1 million dead with over 2 million wounded. The Manchester Century. Wilfred Owen was perhaps the best known of the war poets. He died just before Armistice Day in 1918. His mother opened the telegram informing the family of his death as church bells were ringing to announce the end of the war. You can see Wilfred Owen's name in the books of remembrance in the regimental chapel in Manchester Cathedral. Owen's words about the pity of war refer to his desire to reveal through his poetry the tragedy of war, Its reality, the blood and mud rather than vague notions of glory and honor, abstract nouns far removed from the actual slaughter. The sculptor of the Manchester Century likewise wanted to keep it real. Charles Sergeant Jagger, originally from Rotherham, had served in the war and had been wounded. He knew the war from the inside. He wanted his sculptures to be the opposite of daring-do idealism and show something of the grit of the fighting man and life in the trenches. His species of realism was at odds with the mood of the day, when all the most progressive artists were adopting the various schools of modernism. At the same time, Jagger's realism was far removed from the melodrama and sentimentality of much art before 1914. The Manchester Century was commissioned by the Watts family for their textile headquarters in Manchester to mark the sacrifice of several hundred of their staff. The names of those killed from the Watts Company are listed opposite the Manchester Century. The statue was erected in 1921. After surviving the 1940 Blitz that destroyed so many buildings around the Piccadilly area, it was vandalized sometime in the noughties when the bayonet mounted on the rifle was stolen. No doubt it was a drunken prank in a hotel that promotes cheap drinks, but it damaged the balance of the artwork. The names of those killed from the Watts Company are listed opposite the Manchester Century. The statue was erected in 1921. After surviving the 1940 Blitz that destroyed so many buildings around the Piccadilly area, it was vandalized sometime in the noughties when the bayonet mounted on the rifle was stolen. No doubt it was a drunken prank in a hotel that promotes cheap drinks, but it damaged the balance of the artwork. The Manchester Sentry with his bayonet, now stolen. The Britannia Hotel Group is the same group sitting on the London Road fire station site opposite Piccadilly Station. It has reneged on agreement after agreement to ensure the mouldering building is given new life. We have to be thankful, back in the 1980s after the Portland Street building had closed as a warehouse, that the Britannia Group rescued it through conversion to a hotel. 30 years on, the goodwill is exhausted. Given the hotel group's lack of respect for the city, it's perhaps too much to expect them to respect Jagger's Manchester Sentry and replace his bayonet. Arwick Green Barracks is a former military installation in Arwick, Manchester. The barracks were designed by Lawrence Booth as the headquarters of the 5th, Arwick, Volunteer Battalion, the Manchester Regiment. They were completed in 1886 and opened by Prince George, Duke of Cambridge, Commander-in-Chief of the forces in September 1887. 1. The 5th, Arwick, Volunteer Battalion evolved to become the 8th Battalion, the Manchester Regiment, in 1908. The battalion was mobilised at the drill hall in August 1914 before being deployed to Gallipoli and ultimately to the Western Front. During the Second World War, the barracks were used as a detention centre for deserters. After the war, the barracks were restored to use as the headquarters of 8th Battalion of the Manchester Regiment. They became home to the Manchester Regiment, Arwick and Ashton, Territorials in 1967 and then became base to C Company of 5th/8th, Volunteer, Battalion of the King's Regiment in 1971. This unit evolved to become C, King's, Company of the King's and Cheshire Regiment, still based at Arwick Green, in 1999. From 2006, the barracks were the home of D. Inkerman, Company of the 4th Battalion of the Duke of Lancaster's Regiment. The barracks were vacated in 2018, and put up for sale following year.
There was a wonderful sense of community, and the shops, you go down the road now and they're not proper shops anymore, and that's a sign of old age, isn't it? When you think, oh, it wasn't like that when I was young. That's what old people always say, but the community was centred.
I enjoyed my childhood here. I thought it was absolutely great.
The floor in the living area was stone flags. We had a backyard where we shared the toilet with the house next door. No hot and cold running water. Gas lighting when I first went there.
You used to have the old-fashioned stove with, you know, in the not stove, in the fireplace, and it was in our day one. There was a massive big kettle on the top with the water always boiling, and there was the oven by the side of it.
We didn't have any bathrooms in the houses then, and so we used to go on Saturday to the wash baths, which was up Bennett Street, and there was a woman who used to run the water in the bath for you, and you used to have to feel it and say whether it was hot enough for you, and it didn't matter really because she wouldn't give you any more if you wanted it. But you used to take all your things, you used to take like bath cubes and talcum powder and stuff like that, you used to take it all with you, and put your hair in rollers and stuff like that, you know, just to get nice and polished and clean, ready to go out on Saturday night, because it was quite hard actually. People remember all the good things, but it was quite hard keeping clean and trying to keep your clothes clean, trying to keep yourself clean in those houses.
Your mum used to send you out with any bits of rags and you'd get either a balloon or a donkey stone. More often than not you got the donkey stone because everybody liked to do the steps. I used to do my Auntie Pat's. Now she was very refined. She liked it wetting, putting on and then wiping off so it was just very delicate. My Granny Row, she liked hers putting on thick, wiping over and leaving thick and thick stripe on each side.
One weekend there was a bombing raid in Ardwick Green, and next to the Apollo was a barracks, a little barracks. In between or next to the barracks was an air raid shelter. So she went with my gran, they were out shopping, and went to the air raid shelter because the sirens were going, and it was full. So they had to run down Hyde Road to the next one, I don't know where it was, possibly near my old school, and they managed to get in it. But the one they were going in was hit direct.
My mother was with the baby and when the air raid shelter stopped, and my dad's job, because he couldn't go to war, was to see to the horses. I remember him picking me up and running, but of course he hopped, didn't he? He had me under his arm like that and running down to the air raid shelters, and they were right opposite, in Tipping Street, the shelters, weren't they?
Oh yes, right. I was in it, yes.
Yeah.
And then they had a toothache, they took us in the air raid shelters, and they had a toothache, and the lady from the pub went out and got me something to put on my tooth.
When I came home, the bombing had stopped in Manchester, so young people were bringing the children home. And there was no school, they couldn't get me into school. One of the biggest problems I had, well, I arrived from Wales, nobody could understand me because I had a strong Welsh accent.
I loved the local school and still in touch, well, up to the past 10 years ago with one of my teachers. And you did as you were told, but you respected your teachers for years later. Lovely school, which is no longer there, unfortunately.
We used to have pitch battles with Nichols and St Greg's. We were deadly enemies. I don't know why, but they regarded Ardwick Tech as a posh school, and we regarded Nichols as misfits. So there wasn't a lot of love left between us. And when you ventured up to Ardwick Green, the school on the corner, St Greg's, I think they had burgundy coats, and as soon as you saw the burgundy coats you were off. There was only like 2 of us, but they came out in force. It was about 20, so you just, that's where I learned to run. You know, it's one of those things that the faster you run, the better it was for you. But everything else, the school days were great.
Bennett Street was on one side, and on this side was Wycliffe Street. And over that side where Bennett Street was, that was just before the bridge. Next door to that was a big cheese shop on the corner, and then there was Timson's shoe shop over there. Next door to that there was a bike shop, because I bought Sandy's bike from there. And that was before you came to the Hyde Road pub. On that row there was a draper's shop, And then on this side, like when you came out of Wycliffe Street, just round the corner, there was Jenny's Fish Shop. That was one of the shops I did always remember.
Most people wore hats when they went out, which seems that people even had gardening hats and shopping hats, and people often went shopping with either a hat or a headscarf.
As a child, I would come here very often with my mother, who would love to go to the Co-op shop in Downing Street, a very big, for that time, very big retail store with a cafe, and she loved that because she was a lifelong Co-op member.
My mother and father were quite keen on going to church. They didn't go every week, in fairness, but I think in those days, a bit of an occasion in the sense that, you know, you put your Sunday best on, basically. You know, there was no ifs and buts. You had to wear your best clothes, and it was a bit of a fashion event, I think, at some point, because everybody was the same. You know, no matter how rich or poor they were, they all put the best clothes they had on. And this church, in those days, very busy. There's a lot of people in here. I can remember things like when they did have remembrance days, and they'd have a church parade here or an army parade here for the barracks. There'd be a band playing on the upper tier of the church at the back, you know, a proper military band, and it was quite impressive, really. And then the soldiers would be parading outside. And then, obviously, Sunday school, I wasn't keen on Sunday school, I have to be honest with you. And I did anything I could, feign illness, anything to get out of it. But the church lads brigade, that was good. Yeah, because it was just lads, and it was all the boys games, you know, British Bulldog and all that kind of stuff you play in the school hall. So yeah, that was good fun.
We used to do marching, drill. We had a band which over the years was very successful. I was at various times a bass drummer in that band and a bugler, taking part in the whip walks. And also one of the fondest memories I have is having played the last post on Remembrance Sunday in the church, and also when the organ was restored, playing a trumpet descant while the organ thundered away, leading between 100 and 150 choristers.
You started sort of saving for the whip walks from Christmas. You used to be given a band card, which you used to go round to your friends and neighbours and gather threepences, sixpences towards the main band. And then your parents used to give you, say, 2 shillings a week to go towards the material, because all the children in their age groups was in different tableaus. Lemon, pink, blue, purple. You all had a tableau where you all dressed in the same colour. You'd, at the end, go and collect your material and go to a dressmaker and have it made to your own style, but you all had to be in this colour. And there'd be about 20 or 30 children all in these block colours. But the main ones was up at the front when you'd been confirmed you was all in white. But then you was all in the colours afterwards. It would start at the army barracks, and it wouldn't finish until the end of the road. There was that many children. There was Mothers' Union, there was the Boys' Brigade, there was the Girl Guides, the bands, the choir. There was that many.
The Boys' Brigade.
There's got to be 700 to 800 children walking.
Monday was for the Protestants, Friday was the Catholics, Sunday was the Italians.
Well, there was thousands of churches, well, hundreds of churches walking, but St Thomas's was a very prominent church. It was the first 6 churches to walk, had a service in Albert Square, and we was always one of the first 6 services because we was a predominant church in the area. Thousands walked, thousands, and people used to go to watch the walks. They'd start to sit and take these fold-up deck chairs. They'd go there from, 5 in the morning to get a good seat.
The big sandwiches, drinks, it's like a picnic.
And they'd go 5 or 6 deep all the way. The walk was 6 miles, 3 miles there and 3 miles back. And you never came across a place where there was not crowds of people. And they used to come out of the pubs, they used to cheer, they used to sing.
My great-grandma, Granny Rowe, she was a seamstress. She used to make the dresses that we wore to me and my sister. We used to buy the material from the church so that all the girls that were all dressed the same. The styles might have been different, but the colour was the same. And my Granny Rowe was so poor, sometimes she had to pawn the material to get through the week or the fortnight, whatever it was. And then just before week, she'd go and buy it all back and be up all day and night making the dresses, not just for us, but for people that had ordered them as well. It was wonderful. We had the bands, and as we went out of the churchyard, St Thomas's churchyard, we used to sing Onward Christian Soldiers, and it was lovely, yeah.
The entertainment round here was the Apollo Cinema on Saturday mornings. Go to the miners, he used to take us there.
Oh, it was great. You'd queue up and you'd either go in the balcony or downstairs, but if you was in the balcony, you could chuck stuff on them down there. I still remember the song everybody used to have to sing. We are the boys and girls well known of the miners' ABC, and every Saturday all line up to see the films we like and shout aloud with glee. We like to laugh and have a sing-song, just a happy crowd are we. We're all pals together, we are the miners' ABC.
The crowd that we're bothered with was from the Sunday school here. And we've been known to go to church at night. They used to have a class sometimes and come out and go straight across to the Apollo because they had dancing on a Sunday.
We'd come to Hardwick Green and we used to have a walk up here. It used to take us 10 minutes to walk up. If we had nothing to do, we'd walk up and have a walk around the park and probably meet some young girls and sit on the farm like you do, teenagers, and say, we'll see you at the Apollo tonight.
My mother and her sisters and my cousins, we always go to the Hippodrome on a Friday night, and it was a full show, 14 or 15 acts, and whoever was a sort of a comedian on the show, someone like Des O'Connor or something like that, they were the people who acted as a compare. I've seen everybody on there, Maxwell, all them, Vic Oliver, people like that, and even saw Buddy Holly, on his one trip to Manchester. That was absolutely fantastic.
Everybody moved. I had aunties and grandparents and cousins and all relatives living in all the nearby streets, and we all were moved all away from each other, really, all everywhere scattered about.
When we moved to Gorton, when we moved out of Fairfield Street, I used to keep coming back here to church and to Brigade and youth club and pubs. Most of my social life was centred around Hardwick still.
I suppose in many ways a lot of the houses have gone, which in many ways they were not the best in that they didn't have the facilities that you would expect in a modern house, but there was a wonderful sense of community. The community was centred around places, particularly like a big church like this, and the local shops, and of course everybody knew you, because I remember going shopping where we lived and everybody knew me, even as a small child. If I went and asked for something from my mother, so no, she doesn't like that one, she likes that one. Well, nobody would know that anymore, would they? And you were never naughty, because if you were, somebody would have told your mother before you got home. So people looked out for each other, really. I mean, nothing's perfect, is it? And you can look back with rose-coloured spectacles, and there were problems and troubles in those days, but there was very much a sense of community.
Hume Barracks was a military installation in Hume, Manchester, England. The barracks were built in the Georgian style and completed in 1804. They became home to the 15th King's Hussars, who charged protesters in Manchester in what became known as the Peterloo Massacre in 1819. The barracks were used to house infantry battalions from 1895 until their sale to Manchester Corporation in 1914. The building that remains today is the former officers' mess, officers' quarters and quartermaster's house. the other structures on the site having been demolished. Now converted into flats, Hume Barracks was designated a Grade II listed building on November 16, 1978. The Alan Turing Memorial, situated in Sackville Gardens in Manchester, England, is a sculpture in memory of Alan Turing, a pioneer of modern computing. Turing is believed to have taken his own life in 1954, 2 years after being convicted of gross indecency, that is homosexual acts. As such, he is as much a gay icon as an icon of computing, and the memorial is situated near to Canal Street, Manchester's gay village. Turing is depicted sitting on a bench situated in a central position in the park. On Turing's left is the University of Manchester and on his right is Canal Street. The statue was unveiled on 23 June, Turing's birthday, in 2001. It was conceived by Richard Humphrey, a barrister from Stockport, who set up the Alan Turing Memorial Fund in order to raise the necessary funds. Humphrey had come up with the idea of a statue after seeing Hugh Whitemore's play Breaking the Code, starring Sir Derek Jacobi. Jacobi became the patron of the fund. Glinda Hughes, an industrial sculptor from Maidlington near Westaughton, was commissioned to sculpt the statue. Roy Jackson, who had previously raised funds for HIV/AIDS and gay awareness in Manchester, was asked to assist in the funding raising to make the memorial happen. Within 12 months, through donations and a village lottery, the money was raised. This allowed the statue to be cast in China. Glyn Hughes had found contacts that could manufacture and ship an identical bronze statue to that which would have cost £50,000 in the UK. The cost of the memorial was achieved with the £16,000 raised. Turing Memorial Plaque. Turing is shown holding an apple. The cast bronze bench carries in relief the text Alan Matheson Turing 1912–1954 and the motto founder of computer science as it would appear if encoded by an Enigma machine, Ekifrkmsiyudksaokvkzcgobj. A plaque at the statue's feet says Father of Computer Science, Mathematician, Logician, Wartime Codebreaker, Victim of Prejudice. There is also a Bertrand Russell quotation saying mathematics, rightly viewed, possesses not only truth, but supreme beauty, a beauty cold and austere, like that of sculpture. Alan Turing was not very widely known. But Turing's work during the Second World War was crucial. Who was Turing and what did he do that was so important? Alan Turing was a brilliant mathematician. Born in London in 1912, he studied at both Cambridge and Princeton universities. He was already working part-time for the British government's Code and Cipher School before the Second World War broke out. In 1939, Turing took up a full-time role at Bletchley Park in Buckinghamshire, where top-secret work was carried out to decipher the military codes used by Germany and its allies. Enigma and the bomb. The main focus of Turing's work at Bletchley was in cracking the Enigma code. The Enigma was a type of enciphering machine used by the German armed forces to send messages securely. Although Polish mathematicians had worked out how to read Enigma messages and had shared this information with the British, the Germans increased its security at the outbreak of war by changing the cipher system daily. This made the task of understanding the code even more difficult. Turing played a key role in this, inventing, along with fellow code breaker Gordon Welchman, a machine known as the bomb. This device helped to significantly reduce the work of the code breakers. From mid-1940, German Air Force signals were being read at Bletchley and the intelligence gained from them was helping the war effort. Hut 8, Bletchley Park. Turing also worked to decrypt the more complex German naval communications that had defeated many others at Bletchley. German U-boats were inflicting heavy losses on Allied shipping and the need to understand their signals was crucial. With the help of captured Enigma material, and Turing's work in developing a technique he called Banburismus, the naval Enigma messages were able to be read from 1941. He headed the Hut 8 team at Bletchley, which carried out cryptanalysis of all German naval signals. This meant that, Apart from during a period in 1942 when the code became unreadable, Allied convoys could be directed away from the U-boat wolf packs. Turing's role was pivotal in helping the Allies during the Battle of the Atlantic. Turingery and Delilah. In July 1942, Turing developed a complex code-breaking technique he named Turingery. This method fed into work by others at Bletchley in understanding the Lorentz cipher machine. Lorentz enciphered German strategic messages of high importance. The ability of Bletchley to read these contributed greatly to the Allied war effort. Turing traveled to the United States in December 1942, to advise U.S. military intelligence in the use of bomb machines and to share his knowledge of Enigma. Whilst there, he also saw the latest American progress on a top-secret speech enciphering system. Turing returned to Bletchley in March 1943, where he continued his work in cryptanalysis. Later in the war, he developed a speech-scrambling device which he named Delilah. In 1945, Turing was awarded an OBE for his wartime work. The Universal Turing Machine. In 1936, Turing had invented a hypothetical computing device that came to be known as the Universal Turing Machine. After the Second World War ended, he continued his research in this area, building on his earlier work and incorporating all he'd learned during the war. Whilst working for the National Physical Laboratory, NPL, Turing published a design for the ACE, automatic computing engine, which was arguably the forerunner to the modern computer. The ACE project was not taken forward, however, and he later left the NPL. Legacy. In 1952, Alan Turing was arrested for homosexuality, which was then illegal in Britain. He was found guilty of gross indecency. This conviction was overturned in 2013, but avoided a prison sentence by accepting chemical castration. In 1954, he was found dead from cyanide poisoning. An inquest ruled that it was suicide. The legacy of Alan Turing's life and work did not fully come to light until long after his death. His impact on computer science has been widely acknowledged. The annual Turing Award has been the highest accolade in that industry since 1966. But the work of Bletchley Park, and Turing's role there in cracking the Enigma code, was kept secret until the 1970s, and the full story was not known until the 1990s. It has been estimated that the efforts of Turing and his fellow code breakers shortened the war by several years. What is certain is that they saved countless lives and helped to determine the course and outcome of the conflict.
I am Dorothy Bebbington, and I was born on the 28th of January 1924, and on the 17th of July 1941 I had my call-up papers for the RAF, known as the WAF, Women's Auxiliary Air Force, and I shot off to Bridgnorth for 2 weeks square bashing, and then after a selection committee I went off to Penarth to the accountancy school. I had 6 weeks there learning how the RAF do accounts, and then I was shuffled off to Fazakerley in Liverpool, my first posting, Fazakerley being a balloon centre. Having stayed there for a couple of weeks, I then went off to Ringway, which is now Manchester Airport, and was then number 1 parachute training school, where the army sent all their boys. Every 2 weeks, a change of army boys would come through Ringway to learn how to. This was the very beginning of the parachute training, where men were shown how to jump through the hole with parachutes, and the planes they were jumping out of were Whitleys. They were the only plane that was used at that time, because it was right at the beginning of the parachute training. The Whitleys also towed gliders, and water jumps and balloon jumps would be done at Ringway. There would be international boys, Poles, Norwegians, English, Canadians, you name it. Anyone who wanted to be a paratrooper came through Ringway. That was the only training unit at that time. And there was AFEE, so called because it was Airborne Forces Experimental Unit. That was ongoing at the time. Occasionally there would be a Roman, what they called a Roman candle, where a paratrooper would jump through the hole and his chute didn't open. Ringway was mostly made up of WAFs. The RAF was mostly made up of WAFs who were parachute packers, and they were responsible for packing the chutes after they'd been used. The WAFs would be very upset when there was a Roman candle, because they were responsible for the packing of the chutes. We knew there had been an incident because the wagon would come through the camp at that time, and there would be a blanket over the camp, over the Ringway. On one occasion, one of the pilots couldn't shake off a paratrooper who had got himself tangled round the back wheel of the plane, a Maxie Schonbach was the pilot, and he went round and round until he'd used all his fuel up, and without having shaken off the paratrooper, and he had to land with the boy on the back, with the soldier on the back of the plane, which was another sad incident. There were balloon jumps and water jumps. The water jumps were done at Tatton Park over the lake. This was the beginning, right at the beginning of the parachute training. They had a song which had many verses which they would sing in the NAFU. It's worth noting that at this time it was all very new and people were learning as they went along. The instructors were recruited, a good-looking bunch of lads who the civvies chased at the local dances. The civvies were people that weren't anything to do with the RAF, but they came to swell the numbers for the dances on a Friday. And of course they put on their dresses and everything and tarted themselves up. And we, the WAF, were in our uniforms with our flat shoes and our grey lisle stockings and our passion killer panties which came down to our knees. This was all issue uniform. My job at that time in pay accounts was to look after the WAF, which were 300 on the camp, and I would look after their wages, which they were paid every fortnight at a pay parade. There were different clerks that paid officers and NCOs, and they would come in and into the office and query their accounts. At that time also, having gone on parade at 8 in the morning, by which time we'd had breakfast, we did a fitness course of jiu-jitsu, and there was a sports area where we played hockey, and through this we would go to various other RAF units and compete with them. There was also a WAF band organised where we played on the square for practice. Later on, I did a gas course, mustard gas, chlorine gas, with a group of about 12 other people, and we learned to decontaminate a plane, which was all very interesting. We had to go through all the motions of decontamination. But that was for mustard and chlorine and the various other war gases. I served all my time of the 5 years at Ringway, doing the WAF accounts. Occasionally I would do the airman's accounts, but mostly the WAF accounts. A warrant officer came to the office in the early days, 1941-42, and he was quite important in the office, and he got one of the Polish pilots to give him a flip in a plane, and we all stood outside the office waving to him, and within 10 minutes or so they'd crashed on the airfield, and that was the end of him. That was pretty horrendous. 1942, I was recommended for a commission and went before a selection board to London. I was selected, which gave me quite a boost, and I returned to Ringway at that time and was sent on 4 or 5 days leave. Again I returned 2 hours late, and the station commander took me off the selection board. He disqualified me. He wouldn't listen to me. And my excuse, or my reason for returning to camp later, that year, or should I say in 1945, I met Roy Wood, who was to be my husband, and we married in 45 we married. And later that year, 46, I was demobbed and went into civilian life. After and during my demob time, other paratroop units had evolved, like Netheravon and Upper Hayford, and possibly more than that, where soldiers would go, and the soldiers you'd see dropping out of the sky over Arnhem and places like that had all been through Ringway. There was no need for Ringway to continue now with these other Netheravon and Upper Hayford being established. So the whole thing was disbanded, with possibly Manchester Airport in view. There is at Manchester Airport there is a memorial garden which was created to 6,000 Polish soldiers who came through Ringway as paratroopers, or who qualified as paratroopers. And also at Tatton Park, there's a memorial there for men who had qualified going through Tatton Park. A lot of people don't know about this, but it's worth going and having a look.
Royal Air Force Ringway, or more simply RAF Ringway, is a former Royal Air Force satellite station in Ringway, Cheshire, England, near Manchester. It was operational from 1939 until 1957. The site of this station is now occupied by Manchester Airport. Manchester's first municipal airfield was Manchester, Wythenshawe Aerodrome, opened from April 1929, and then Barton Aerodrome, opened from January 1930, just west of Eccles. Barton Aerodrome was planned to be the main airport for Manchester, but it became clear by 1934 that its small boggy grass airfield was inadequate for the larger airliners then coming into service, including the Douglas DC-2 and DC-3. A new airport site at Ringway, 8 miles south of Manchester city centre, was selected from several alternatives, and this was to become the site of the RAF station by early 1940. Construction of the all-grass airfield began in late 1935, and the first, westerly, portion opened in June 1937 for use by ferry aviation. The remaining airfield areas in the terminal building were opened for public use on June 25, 1938. Initially known as Manchester Ringway Airport, then Manchester International Airport, from 1986 it has been designated simply Manchester Airport. Construction of a Royal Air Force station, including 2 large hangars, workshops, barrack blocks and ancillary accommodation, began in the northeast corner of the airport during spring 1939, with phased completion during early 1940. 2. One of the hangars was intended for use by No. 613, City of Manchester, Squadron, but this unit had been moved south at the outbreak of war. Citation needed. RAF Ringway was therefore initially used by No. 1, Coastal, Operational Training Unit RAF Coastal Command. Paratroopers from the 6th, Royal Welsh, Parachute Battalion undergoing physical training with No. 1 Parachute Training School at Ringway, with the Whitley 3 in foreground, August 1942. From June 1940, Ringway became the wartime base for No. 1 Parachute Training School RAF, which was charged with the initial training of all Allied paratroopers trained in Europe, 60,000, and for development of parachute drops of equipment, also the development of military gliding operations. Men and women agents of the Special Operations Executive, SOE, were also trained to jump. Comedian Frank Muir spent several years at the school in the photographic section taking slow-motion film of jumps on a project intended to decrease the frequency of parachutes failing, sometimes called Roman candle. He recalled the Special Operations Executive Training Center, housed in an Edwardian house on the outskirts of the airfield, where he was assigned to take pictures of the agents for identity documents. There was an additional holding center in a large house in nearby Bowden. No. 14 Ferry Pilot Pool of the Air Transport Auxiliary, AEA, was based at Ringway between 1940 and 1945. The Veteranata aircrews delivered many thousands of military aircraft to operational units which had been built, modified or repaired at Ringway, Woodford, Barton and at other Northwest aircraft factories and airfields. Over 4,400 warplanes were built at Ringway by Ferry Aviation and Avro. 6. The aircraft included the Ferry Battle, Ferry Fulmer, Ferry Barracuda, Bristol Beaufighter, Handley Page Halifax, and Ferry Gannet. Avro's experimental department, located in Ringway's 1938 built north side hangar between mid-1939 and late 1945. In 1939 they completed the prototype Avro Manchester bomber. The aircraft failed to meet operational requirements and, with only 202 built, it was subject to several radical modifications, culminating in January 1941 with the Avro Manchester Mk3, the prototype of the famous Avro Lancaster bomber. The last warplane prototype to be assembled here was the Avro Lincoln bomber, which first flew from Ringway on July 9, 1944. 7. Avro built over 100 Avro York military transport aircraft in the 3 1941-42 Southside hangars. 2 hangars built in the NW corner of the airfield during 1939-40 for use by Ferry Aviation remain in use, one for aircraft maintenance and the other for ground operations. The other 3 wartime hangars built for ferries were demolished during the 1990s. Number 613, City of Manchester, Squadron had its home base at Traff Ringway during 1939 and again from 1946 to 1957 when it flew Supermarine Spitfires and de Havilland Vampire jet fighters in its fighter role as a unit within the Royal Auxiliary Air Force. 8. The following units were also here at some point. 9. Number 4 Squadron RAF. Number 5 Service Flying Training School RAF. Number 6 Anti-Aircraft Cooperation Unit RAF. Number 7 Anti-Aircraft Cooperation Unit RAF. Number 8 Anti-Aircraft Cooperation Unit RAF. Number 50 Army Cooperation Wing RAF. Number 50 Elementary and Reserve Flying Training School RAF. Number 64 Squadron RAF. Number 78 Squadron RAF. Number 107 Transport OTA RAF. Number 110 Anti-Aircraft Cooperation Wing RAF. Number 253 Squadron RAF. Number 264 Squadron RAF. Number 296 Squadron RAF. Number 663 Squadron RAF. Number 1951 Reserve Upflight RAF. Airborne Forces Establishment. Airborne Forces Experimental Establishment. Central Landing Establishment RAF. Central Landing School RAF. Development Unit, Central Landing Establishment RAF. Glider Exercise Squadron RAF. Glider Exercise Unit RAF. Glider Flight RAF. Glider Training Squadron RAF. Manchester University Air Squadron. Parachute Exercise Squadron RAF. Parachute Training Center RAF. Parachute Training School RAF. Parachute Training Squadron RAF. On the disbandment of 613 Squadron, and all other Royal Auxiliary Air Force squadrons, in March 1957, RAF Ringway was closed and its hangars and other buildings handed over for civil airline operations including cargo and maintenance. The 2 1939-40 built hangars remained in use until late 1995, when they were demolished to permit construction of the new Terminal 3. By January 2009, the only surviving building from RAF Ringway was the Officers' Mess, Building 217, in Ringway Road and until recently used as the airport archive. It was still standing, but disused, in November 2011. It was later demolished to make way for a further extension of car parking facilities. A garden outside Olympic House, near Terminal 1, houses several carved stone memorials to the wartime units based at Ringway and to 613 Squadron. There is a monument, formerly in Terminal 1 but now in Manchester Airport Railway Station, to Alcock and Brown, the pioneers of transatlantic flight. Of them, John Alcock was born in Old Trafford, near Barton Airport.
Manchester Town Hall is a Victorian, neo-Gothic municipal building in Manchester, England. It is the ceremonial headquarters of Manchester City Council and houses a number of local government departments. Opened, September 13, 1877. Cost, £775,000 £1 million, £90,430,000 to £116,680,000 as of 2024. The Manchester Cathedral is the mother church of the Anglican Diocese of Manchester and a stunning example of Perpendicular Gothic architecture. The cathedral is the seat of the Bishop of Manchester and the city's parish church. The cathedral hosts religious services throughout the week and can seat up to 940 people. Deansgate is a main road through Manchester city centre, England. It runs roughly north-south in a near straight route through the western part of the city centre and is the longest road in the city centre at over 1 mile in length. Manchester Central began life as one of the major train station hubs of the Northwest. Opening in 1880, Central Station. The Bridgewater Canal connects Runcorn, Manchester, and Lee, in northwest England. It was commissioned by Francis Egerton, 3rd Duke of Bridgewater, to transport coal from his mines in Worsley to Manchester. Date extended, 1762. Manchester Metrolink is a tram/light rail system in Greater Manchester, England. The network has 99 stops along 64 miles of standard gauge route, making it the most extensive light rail system in the United Kingdom. Over the 2022-23 financial year, 36 million passenger journeys were made on the system. Manchester Arena is an indoor arena in Manchester, England, immediately north of the city centre and partly above Manchester Victoria Station in air rights space. Opened, July 15, 1995. The Opera House in Key Street, Manchester, England, is a 1,920-seater commercial touring theatre that plays host to touring musicals, ballet, concerts and a Christmas pantomime. It is a Grade II listed building. The Opera House is one of the main theatres in Manchester. The gay village is centred on buzzing Canal Street, a pedestrianised road beside the Rochdale Canal, lined with casual cafes and lively gay bars. Revellers pack the area during the annual Manchester Pride Festival, which involves a parade and live music. Over in Sackville Gardens, the Alan Turing Memorial celebrates the revered gay mathematician and World War II codebreaker. Manchester's Chinatown neighbourhood is nearby. Warning: before we talking about Corey, please note Salford is not Manchester and Salford is in Greater Manchester. If you say to people that live in Salford that it's Manchester, they will punch you in the jaw. They really don't like it and they will take offence to you saying it. Coronation Street, colloquially referred to as Corey, is a British television soap opera created by Granada Television and shown on ITV since December 9, 1960. 2. The program centres on a cobbled, terraced street in the fictional town of Weatherfield in Greater Manchester. The location was itself based on Salford, the hometown of the show's first screenwriter and creator. Originally broadcast twice weekly, the series began airing 6 times a week in 2017. 4. The program was conceived by scriptwriter Tony Warren. 5. Warren's initial proposal was rejected by the station's founder Sidney Bernstein, but he was persuaded by producer Harry Elton to produce the program for 13 pilot episodes. The show has since become a significant part of British culture. Coronation Street is currently produced by Granada's successor, ITV Studios, at Media City UK and shown in all ITV regions, as well as internationally. In 2010, upon its 50th anniversary, the series was recognized by Guinness World Records as the world's longest-running television soap opera. Initially influenced by the conventions of kitchen sink realism, Coronation Street is noted for its depiction of a down-to-earth, working-class community, combined with light-hearted humor and strong characters. The show currently averages around 5 million viewers per episode. The show premiered its 10,000th episode on February 7, 2020, and celebrated its 60th anniversary later that year. Producers: Various. Verity MacLeod. Production locations: Granada Studios, Manchester, 1960 to 2014. Media City UK, Salford, 2014 present. Camera setup: multiple camera. Running time 30 to 60 minutes. Production companies: Granada Television, 1960 to 2006. ITV Productions, 2006 to 2009. ITV Studios Continuing Drama, 2009 present.
beautiful.
This night was way too young to understand why she got thrown into someone else's hands.
You're my
Why
bitch
she
now.
woke up a strange man.
And if you trust me,
Tore her to pieces and she couldn't comprehend why she was locked up in a basement filled with men. Should have done at school, instead she did that.
You raped me.
coming for her. You better tell her I'm going to her house now and I'm going to drag her out of there. And I'm going to kill her.
I'm not going with anyone. Here you are. You're with him?
Mama sold me for candy. Now it's ruined from the start.
Where the fuck are we? I can't walk no more.
I can hear, Andy. I can.
We would like to say thank you for viewing our video tonight. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to our channels as we work very hard to bring you the best video we can and keep you updated with our lovely towns and cities. All personal comments in my videos are my views and my opinions under the right to free expression unless otherwise stated. None of my advice constitutes legal advice and should not be construed as such. This video may contain copyrighted clips for critique/comment purposes only under fair use legal doctrine and does not serve to personally attack the video creator. If you own any of the footage in this video, please contact me via my About page in the first instance if you have any issues before submitting a takedown request. Our video is makizgrandesa@gmail.com. Thank you. Grand Tourist is a citizen journalist freelance and bring you a tour of our town and cities. We hope you enjoy. Subscribe.
She galvanized me, steady like steel, back on my feet, living for the thrill again, loving for another day. She satisfied me, gave me what I want, just what we need, never too far away, loving for another day. But she asked for something more. She asked for, yeah, she asked for something beautiful. She asked for, yeah, she asked for, she asked for something beautiful.
I'm just getting up a spliff and off.
Me what I did wrong, I plead. Never did I think we would be loving for another day. But she asked for something more. She asked for, yeah, she asked for something beautiful. Something beautiful. Yeah, she asked for something beautiful. She asked for, yeah, she asked for, she asked for something beautiful.
Bro, I'll waste you and I'll waste anyone. Don't chat shit when you're not even from England, you little fucking
How old are you?
You little fucking
How old are you?
What?
What are you, 18? 19?
Fucking Trump, no.
I've been here longer than you have.
I've got places over. Don't you little immigrant. Get back to Africa. Listen, the youngins who are doing you little muppet, don't chat shit.
You are extremely ignorant and not very intelligent. Do you know that?
Get off the tram now. You get back. Get off the tram now.
Get off the tram then.
Get off the tram. Hey, you jump on the tram now, bro, and I'll take you on the tram now. Get off the tram now. Get off the tram now. Get off the tram now. What's your head, bro? Get off the tram now. Fucking head.
There's absolutely no need for that. Please don't.
What are you, 16? Get off with a bottle of beer.
Don't.
7 years in the military. I would have.
Disgusting! Disgusting! You're a disgrace! You're a disgrace! Absolute disgrace! To England! You are a disgrace! Absolute disgrace! Please don't.
You can stay. You can go. You can stay. You can stay.
Well done.
Adesso faccio mai. Yeah, Leeds has got a good one. Dạo vậy à.
Có Yeah. They've been at this town hall for years now, haven't they? St. Peter's Square in front here.
Yeah.
This is where the Conservatives normally hold their thingies. It looks like a protest might be planned. They must have got the blue bibs on. They're liaison officers. Sounds like a protest might be planned. Yeah, it is. Protest is planned.
It's not just
Palestine.
Thank you.
Where's the Christmas markets, mate? You know what I mean?
Scattered all over.
Go all over, basically. Go straight up.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And to the top. Go all the way down. Go all there. And all the way through.
He's doing camera work as well, look. Yeah? He's doing camera work, look. Definitely protest planned.
Yeah.
Do they ever feel like to close?
Why'd you get the Well, they go mental about you filming on here. What? I think they go mental about you filming on here.
Well, why does that's what I do?
Planning some arrests today, you can see.
Yeah.
I'll sit on this wall. You'll go and ask and I'll sit on this wall. Oh! Clocked us. The cobblers already clocked me for
Probably because you know.
Just watch me back, will you?
Ja.